All right, Pete Hoekstra. Yes, this is a brilliant way to start a video. If you follow my channel, you know I despise this guy, just like everybody else. So, just a fair warning, this video might get a little bit spicy. But it's recently made the news that many Canadians actually want him gone. And it's gaining momentum on a lot of Canadian subreddits and also from other Canadian content creators as well. I mean, you can see the spike here. It went from like 30,000 all the way up to like 45. No, wait, I think this chart's outdated. Officially, it's at 5,004. No, officially it's at 54,361 signatures. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a petition with that much signatures. So I'm going to talk about why 5,000. Why do I keep saying 5,000? 54,361 people in Canada want Pete Hoekstra gone. And I'm one of those signatures. Also, we're going to talk about the liquor industry again. Because in my last video I did on the liquor industry, putting the liquor back on the shelves is actually a bargaining chip right now when it comes to negotiations. I'm still not sure how that's going to work because the provinces control that, but who knows? But we're going to hear from some everyday Canadians just like you and I, and what they think about the US liquor potentially being on the shelves. And before we start, I got to give my daily thanks to the GTL community for signing up for my Substack page as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page. I just recently enabled the chat on Substack, so that allows the paid subscribers to actually chat in real time among each other as well as with me. So it is really cool to see the conversations going on in there and people sharing ideas and what they're going through when it comes to the boycott. The old YouTube membership never had that function, so I'm glad Substack has it. And also a special thanks to everybody who's contributed to my Buy Me a Coffee. I am doing my best to read all the comments that everyone's leaving on my Buy Me a Coffee page, but I do appreciate everyone supporting the work that I do. All right, let's get started with let's start with the liquor stories first.
As Canada and the United States talk trade, returning American wine and spirits to store shelves is on the table. So will people be buying?
The California wines were my favorites.
But Janice Pete had to find a new favorite. As a response to U.S. tariffs, most Canadian provinces yanked U.S. liquor. Nova Scotia did so on March 4th of last year. So will she go back?
No, I won't buy U.S. Wines anymore or any kinds of alcohol.
Doesn't that make you all feel like warm and fuzzy inside hearing that? I mean, it does for me. Especially from someone that said that they used to love California wines and they no longer buy it. Now, I'm not a big drinker, so I didn't really buy a lot of US liquor, and even when I went to the States, I'm actually noticing, whenever I went to Hawaii, Nevada, or California, Washington, I would always get a Corona. I would never get, like, the US beer. But it's good to hear that people who used to buy the US liquor go on camera and actually say, no, I'm not buying it anymore.
I switched to some Canadian brands and also Australian, and those are my favorites now.
Neither will Sean Griffith.
Won't do anything for me. I'm not going to buy it. Doesn't do anything for me.
We always knew that the measure would be temporary.
Temporary, but effective. Exports of American alcohol to Canada dropped 81%, representing more than $580 million in 1 year. About 40% of all the bottled wine exports from California went to Canada. The head of Wine Growers Canada says that state will be fighting hard to bring their customers back.
Now, we know the wine industry in California is suffering right now, and we even had Adam Schiff write us a letter saying that we're hurting their businesses. Basically saying that we're causing devastating harm to the wine growers, and he's urging Canadian governments to recognize that California doesn't agree with the tariff wars. Well, fuck you, Adam. It's like, seriously. Just because you don't agree with what your president is doing doesn't make you exempt. I mean, you're part of the United States. So don't give me that bullshit, like, seriously. But then again, it could also be because he might have ownership in the California wine industry. I mean, you can just Google it. There's lots of information on it. I think the company name is called Constellation Brands, which does have a stake in the California wine industry. But for me personally, I don't have much sympathy for the alcohol industry in the US, whether it's from like Kentucky, Tennessee, or California. Because I did a video a little while ago about how these US businesses keep begging us to like put the alcohol back on the shelves or, continue to visit us and spend your money when our Canadian businesses are suffering as well. And not once in my 15 months of having this channel have I ever heard any US business or government official have any concern for Canadian businesses. So yeah, screw you, Adam Schiff. Like, seriously. Man, I haven't even got a Pete Hoekstra yet, and I'm already cursing.
So Dan Paskowski says the country needs a strategy to maintain the momentum.
The governments can help the industry turn this into a win for Canadian wines, for Nova Scotia wines, and that's really the discussion that we'd like to have.
Not all provinces are willing to drop the booze ban for nothing. Ontario and Quebec have said the United States needs to lower or drop tariffs on Canadian goods. In a statement to CTV, Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston says Trump's tariffs have hurt both the Canadian and American economy. While we can't control what happens in Washington, we can control what goes on our shelves. At this time, we have no plans to reinstate American alcohol.
And that's how it should be. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work with these negotiations for the latest tariff threat, but I really do hope that the alcohol stays off the shelves. But like those two Canadians that they interviewed earlier, it is encouraging to know that even if the alcohol does go back on the shelves, people are still not going to buy it. I know everybody listening to this or watching this video right now, we're not going to buy it. But when it eventually does go back on the shelves, I think the U.S. liquor industry is going to be in for a big surprise because it's going to be on the shelves and they're going to be like, hey, why aren't people buying it?
A spokesperson for the Nova Scotia Liquor Commission says should there be a change regarding future imports, the NSLC would assess timelines and next steps at that time. But Jesse, what might be an indication of what will happen when U.S. booze returns? If you remember back on December 1st of last year, the Nova Scotia government decided to sell off its remaining stock of $14 million worth of U.S. alcohol. 9 months later, Jesse, there is still U.S. wine on some store shelves. Jesse.
All right. So like I said, the U.S. liquor industry, putting it back on the shelves is not going to be like the magic pill that fixes everything for you. 9 months later, your shit-ass alcohol is still on the shelves. So I guess we have about another, 1 week and a half to see whether or not these tariffs go into effect, or if we actually do end up putting the alcohol back on the shelves. But there's one really big reminder on why we are doing this whole boycotting of the United States, and that's Pete Hoekstra. And the petition to get him out of the country is actually making national news. Let me show you.
A growing online petition is taking aim at the U.S. ambassador to Canada, calling for Pete Hoekstra to be removed. Nearly 30,000 Canadians have signed it, saying Hoekstra should be declared persona non grata, accusing him of repeatedly weighing in on Canadian politics and damaging Canada-U.S. relations. The petition, launched by a woman from Calgary, is set to be presented in the House of Commons in the fall.
Now, that petition was created by Leanne Walker from Calgary, Alberta, and I'm going to read out the details of it for you. Petition to the House of Commons, whereas U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra has repeatedly made public statements undermining Canadian-U.S. diplomatic relations, including characterizing the 2025 Canadian federal election as anti-American. Ambassador Hoekstra has normalized the Taco Tuesday administration's threat to annex Canada as a 51st state, describing such rhetoric as terms of endearment. Ambassador Hoekstra has accused Canada of interfering in U.S. domestic politics while himself making repeated interventions in Canadian political discourse, inconsistent with diplomatic protocol. Ambassador Hoekstra has been linked to a Michigan-based voter identification app used by the Alberta Separatist Centurion Project while claiming no knowledge of its use, and the Alberta Prosperity Project met with U.S. State Department officials 3 times between April 2025 and January 2026, with Hoekstra claiming no knowledge of these meetings, raising serious questions about the U.S. diplomatic interference in Canadian unity. We, the undersigned, residents of Canada, call upon the Government of Canada to formally declare Pete Hoekstra persona non grata and request his removal as U.S. Ambassador to Canada, raised with the United States pattern of conduct by Ambassador Hoekstra inconsistent with the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, and direct a parliamentary committee to review the U.S. diplomatic interference in Canadian domestic affairs. Now, at the time I'm editing this video, this petition has 5,431 signatures. And I believe the last petition that somebody created to get Pete Hoekstra out, I think it only had about half these signatures when it completed. And we still have until, when do we have? November 18th, 2026. And just in case you forgot what this guy has said over the last year and 4 months or whatever, no, more than 4 months, year and a half. Let me remind everybody what he said to us. I mean, I got everything recorded and I keep everything. So let me start the Pete Hoekstra compilation.
Work with us on economic issues, work with us on the friendships and the relationships that we have on a personal basis around the world, and work with us on security issues.
There are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with, okay, because of some of those steps.
Okay, I'm disappointed that I came to Canada, a Canada that it is very, very difficult to find Canadians who are passionate about the American-Canadian relationship. Okay? You ran a campaign where, you know, it was anti-American, elbows up, me too. You know, it was an anti-American campaign.
Listen, what happened exactly at this event?
Yeah, David, CBC News learned that the U.S. ambassador to Canada went on a tirade aimed at Ontario's trade minister. A witness says that he could be heard swearing, using the F word, and mentioning Doug Ford, his name, and that it appears that Pete Hoekstra was upset about this Ontario ad, this anti-tariff ad that's been playing in the U.S. We've been reporting on it a lot.
Absolutely appropriate for Canada to retaliate. We have banned so many Canadian products in the United States of America. Oh, wait a minute. No, we haven't. Okay, we haven't banned any American products in Canada.
Okay, so you guys might have been listening to Pete Hoekstra for like the last minute, but I just spent the last like hour and 15 minutes going through all of Pete Hoekstra's videos, listening to his voice, so I can compile these for you. I'm pretty fired up right now. And I purposely showed you this last video because I want to talk about this one. This is the one where Pete Hoekstra is basically saying that the United States is not like banned Canadian products because we're not like that. Well, Pete, you strategically forgot to mention that your country is the first country that put the tariffs on us. And you're blaming the reaction, not the cause. And the cause is you. And the problem with this is that they think they can bully around anybody. I mean, they can do whatever they want, and if somebody is going to retaliate or stand their ground like what Canada's doing, we are now the ones that are nasty and not behaving and hard to deal with. And you really wonder why 50,000 people have signed this petition. And then we go back to this video here where he says he's disappointed in Canadians that he hasn't found any Canadians that are passionate about the Canada-US relationships. Well, why the fuck would we be passionate about it if you're threatening us? Why would we be passionate about it if you're gaslighting us and making everything seem like it's our problem? And why would Canadians be passionate about the relationship if all you do is call us nasty when Canada has been nothing but a friend to the United States? Like, seriously, this son of a bitch needs to get out of our country. Like, fuck him, seriously. And don't forget, I just sat through an hour and 15 minutes of his interviews. We don't need this guy in Canada. I at least for me, I'm fed up. And I'm at that point, well, okay, I'm probably fed up because I sat through an hour and 15 minutes of his videos. But I'm tired of the gaslighting, and I'm tired of him, like, putting Canada down. And I'm also tired of him meddling with our Canadian politics. Some people have told me, you know what, GTL? Let's leave him in the country because he's a good reminder of why we're boycotting the United States. Well, to be frank, we don't need him in our country to remind us why we're boycotting. All you have to do is turn on the fucking TV or go on social media, scroll for about 30 seconds, and you can find out. And others have told me that we need to leave Hoekstra in his position because Taco Tuesday will just put in someone who's even worse. Well, my answer to that is get this fucker out of my country and then bring in whoever you want. We'll take him on as well. Because we're beyond that point of just like playing nice with this guy and, you know, putting our head down and just kind of ignoring him or rolling our eyes with this guy. We need to tell him to get the fuck out. But I also see it this way as well. We can continue to just like take his bullshit, you know, and be the polite Canadians. But if we kick him out, we're showing that we're not taking his shit anymore. There has to be a time when we put our foot down. I mean, when you have a bully like this sitting in your house on your sofa and he's mouthing you off and, you know, basically destroying things and whatever else, at what point do you say, okay, you got to leave? Because what we're doing right now is we're letting him sit on the sofa and rant away and basically just rolling our eyes with him and continuing on. But it's causing a lot of problems in the house. And what scares me the most is how much meddling he's doing in our Canadian politics. You can't tell me this was just a fucking barbecue. Come on, seriously. I mean, he invited all the far-right media and personalities. You think they were really just talking about hot dogs and like hamburgers? And you really think that like his connection to the controversial voter ID app, that's just a coincidence? Yeah, this definitely got to me. I think it's time, everybody. And you know what? I don't know what I'm requesting. I mean, I know what I'm requesting. I'm asking the viewers to sign the petition. But I think, and I believe I'm speaking for a lot of you right now when we're saying that we're done with this guy. And the fact that this new petition, which was just released on July 21st, so what, half a month ago, just over half a month ago, it's already at 54,000 signatures. This tells me that a lot of Canadians are also pissed off as well, and they've had enough. So if you have not signed this petition, or at least read it over, I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below. I've signed it. I've sent it to like multiple people. I'm going to be posting it in my Discord server later as well. I'm not forcing anybody to sign it. I'm just saying read it over and make your own decision. But I showed you enough evidence on why this guy needs to be removed. So check it out. The link will be in the description below. And share it with your friends and family or your social networks or social media. Let's get this thing viral. I mean, it's at 54,000 now. I mean, if the GTL community can contribute like 5,000, I would consider that a win. So let's see if we can move the needle on this. I know some of you in the comments have said, don't apologize for your rants, but I do have to. I feel like I got a little bit out of control on that one. Anyways, the backdrop that you're looking at today, it comes from my mom, and she took this photo in Montreal, Quebec. This was from their trip last year to Eastern Canada, where I did mention in my previous video, they went to Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. They had a lot of fun in your provinces, so I do recommend that anybody traveling to Canada, check out Eastern Canada, but also check out Western Canada as well. So thanks again, Mom, for sending me this photo. And just before I close off this video, I'm working on a new project right now, and I think it's going to be done hopefully within the next month. And I just want to give a bit of a sneak peek on what I'm working on right now. So what you're seeing on the screen right now, expect it to hopefully be done within the next month, I'm guessing. So if you're just listening or visually impaired right now, what I got on the screen is the GTL merge. And don't worry, I'm using a Canadian company, not a US-based company. It wouldn't feel right for me to use a US company when my channel is Guard the Leaf. So stay tuned for more updates on this. Alright everyone, I hope you got some value out of this video, and if you did, consider checking out my Substack page as well as my Buy Me a Coffee page if you want to support my work. Thanks everyone, I'll catch you in the next video.
On your plate, you're welcome across the border, but we'll never be